This is Gary Jordan from Natural Law for North America, um, and I'm going to go kind of in a topic that's a little bit off the beaten track than what I normally do, um, and it may seem like it's not about natural law, but it is will impact natural law, the practice of it, the real life rubber meets the tire, and that is our society is in free fall. Most of us, I think, by now have already caught on that that society is falling apart. But we're in the process, in reality, of recreating and remaking our whole new society, a whole new Earth, as you will. Um, so it's not called New Earth. I like that term because it kind of is. The physical Earth will be the same. Well, once we heal it, it might not be, but you could call it the rebirth, the return, because we'll probably, as I'll explain later, do a lot of other things. But I wanted to point out that there are three major league broad activities that are taking place simultaneously at the same time. And they are a deconstruction, in which, at the individual level, under individual conscious control, and at the societal level, which is not so consciously controlled, the speed and the rate and pace and the amount of stuff going on is largely at the mercy of other people, other conscious decisions. But it's still happening. And so our society is deconstructing. It is revealing parts of itself that hasn't, in some cases, haven't been seen for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We are looking at money. Money doesn't work. We're looking at our fake government. Our attempt at external government doesn't work. Our attempt at organized religion, which appears to have started about 6,000 years ago, is not working anymore. Those are just the big ones. We're not talking about the smaller issues and the smaller institutions that are just falling apart. And in that process, a lot of things and a lot of notions and ideas and filters are going to become more and more visible. Which brings me to the second activity, which is sifting. We will be sifting as an individual and as families, as bands, as tribes, as neighborhoods and cities, as larger groups, nation states, if those we even keep those, and as a species. We will be sifting through things as we become more visible and decide what will not work for us, what does not work for us. And that, I think, will go on for quite a long time, because there'll be multiple layers of different things. We discard different things in the deconstruction process, and then new things for a while will be appropriate. Then new things appear, and that brings us to creative, to the construction side. And construction, creativity, generally speaking, is not just totally brand new. Most things that are creative in the creative process, as a musician, I can tell you, some of it comes, your inspiration or a tune or an image in your mind will come out from the ether, but come from source, from your inner self. But it usually has elements of things you've experienced, elements of things that exist. In the case of technology, is a great example. We often have elements of one or two, three or four different devices, software that are mixed and matched. Oh, I like this from that. I don't like this from that, so we'll put that from this. And there's a lot of mixing and matching, and that's creative. Creativity can take many media, the traditional ones like canvas, clay, the various materials used to make baskets, different types of yarn, sound, which is what poetry, language, and music use, um, to the less thought of, to the less traditional things that we don't think about. Cooking, that's a creative activity. Um, Problem solving, raising children, because each person is unique. Caregiving even is, because if you really are thinking about what that person's real needs are and what he or she wants in relationship to what they can actually do, it's a creative process because they never stay exactly the same. They're changing, and you're changing. So there is a creativity of mixing and matching and making things work. So it's a very much a creative process. Many things can be creative. And that brings me to the construction. For our construction to work, we need to take what we're learning from the deconstruction as things become visible and look at our values, look at what's important to us, and decide, do I want that? Does that match my values? Or does it just simply, keep what we don't want? Or I don't want? Because it's an individual process, and then our individuals become groups, families, couples, bands, playmates, and whatever. And like I say, there is going to be quite a bit. I'll give you an example of that one. Take, for example, transportation. Technology. We have thousands of years worth, and that's a broad area to itself of technology. Not just social structures, not just rules and guidelines that might work or not work, but our technology. Anthropologists and archaeologists say that humans have been on the earth for 150 to 200,000 years. We'll take that as a given for the time being. And say that with that 150,000 years, 200,000 years of experience, all the different tools we've made, all the different styles and patterns, then when you consider the fact for the last 75,000 years or so, we've been on all of the habitable continents, save Antarctica. And that we know of. Well, we might have been there too, for all I know. But because we don't know for sure, we'll say the other continents: Africa, Australia, North and South America, Europe, Asia. We've been there, and we have thousands and thousands of cultures, thousands of patterns, hundreds of thousands of different materials that are plants, and animal fibers. To sift through, to decide what we like or don't like. I like hand tools for gardening and for yard work, partly because I don't like the noise of the power tools. I don't need a bunch of noise and look how I'm Tim Allen, more power to show that to get the job done. I like it when it's quiet, when it's therapeutic. For me, a physical technology needs, whenever possible, needs to be therapeutic. I think a lot of our hand tools will be kept. Weaving, knitting, spinning, that sort of stuff, because it's often very therapeutic. Spinning yarn into thread. Weaving. Even with it still being fairly expensive to make your own clothes, a lot of people like it. It's just fun for them. Pottery has never died out. Playing with the clay, for a lot of people, is therapeutic. Gardening, even though it's more convenient to go to a store and buy your food, people still love to garden. I know when I was at my mom's place down in Lancaster, I did. I loved it. I helped my mom's yard work. I enjoyed it. It was enjoyable to go outside and trim the rose bushes for her, bring in the roses or the rose hips for her crafting uses. I planted, even though I'm legally blind, and I actually I wish I had pictures. I had these big Coke bottles, glasses. It would blow you guys' mind, that I wore for a long time, since I was 2 till about 2009 when I had the eye surgery, the last cataract type surgery to put in the lens implants, and everything went downhill from there. But That's another story. But the point is, the technology needs to be therapeutic for me. So no noise. I like hand tools. I like the motion. If it's quiet and that can be done in a flow, relaxing pace, I don't care if it takes me 2 or 3 days to do something. That's actually kind of nice. Um, there's no rush. You can think. You can daydream. You can stop, talk with the kids, whatever. For me, that just makes more sense. Transportation is another one. I don't like cars. I don't need the noise. And those are my values. And I prefer to walk. If I had enough eyesight to where I thought it would be safe, I know how to ride a bicycle. I did that for a number of years in my trailer park because there were no cars. I learned how to ride a two-wheel. If I really wanted to, I could. There's always adult tricycles if that's more convenient. So that would be, I'd be cool with that because that's good exercise. Very therapeutic, very enjoyable. It's close to nature. It's not noisy. It doesn't have the show-off thing. Just no card for me. Mass transit for really long distances. And that brings me to something that we'll probably have to consider. We have some abilities that we've forgotten. After the cataclysm 12,000 years ago, we were so traumatized, I believe, that we had lost a lot of our abilities. And part of the sifting process will be as we relearn and rediscover our mental, emotional, spiritual abilities, call them what you want, such as flying, yogic flying. It's in the literature. There are pictures showing people who levitated, saints that have been known to fly. It's all over the world. It's not just supposedly holy people. This is an innate ability we have. That's why we can fly in our dreams. Teleportation is another one. That's what inspired Star Trek and the sci-fi technology thing. Is the idea that we can go from one place to another more or less instantly. I mean, that's what the transporter. Beam me up, Scotty. That's because we probably could do it at one time. Probably why you don't see many roads, why you don't see people worried about, the ancestors weren't worried about that. They walked and they rode their canoes and kayaks and sailboats and whatnot because it was enjoyable for them. But they could teleport, particularly the further back. I think between 100,000 and 12,000 years ago, we probably could do a lot of this stuff. Telepathy is another technology that will probably replace all our tools. Mental, or should I say heart-to-heart communication. Some of us have had experiences with it like I did with my mom when I was a teenager. I knew sometimes I would know when she was actually vacuuming. When she was cleaning the house, I'd be out way far away. I'd come home, hey Mom, weren't you cleaning the house at such and such a time? Yeah, I was. Or I just know when to come home because it was time for dinner. And I didn't bother with watches. I didn't like the feel of the sensation of them, so I didn't wear them. I told time of the sun, and I often knew when to come home. I would just wander and wander and wander. I just like to wander, which is why I don't like cities. There's nowhere I feel comfortable to wander. There's no wild places. But that's part of the construction work, as we discover all the abilities. Levitation, telekinesis. How do you think they made the pyramids? Sound technology. There's probably all sorts of areas that we have yet. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, being able to close your eyes in meditation and physically be in one place, and mentally or emotionally, however you want to, words you want to wrap around the experience, be present with your consciousness somewhere else. They call that clairvoyance or clairaudience that you're using sound. Shaman and other mystics have been doing that for thousands of years, and they're still doing some in the wilder places. We moderns call that remote viewing. It's an innate ability that we've had, that our governments, our fake governments, our industrial military complexes actually even had programs to try to manipulate it, control it for use of power. I don't believe that can fully be functional under the use of power. That paradigm will not allow it to work fully. Maybe partially, but not fully. To me, that's part of it. What all abilities we have that will replace our technologies, such as our phones and computers and lights. We may even be able to see in the dark with our minds rather than needing to have an electrical current. I don't really know because I don't remember. I don't remember my past lives. I wish I did. I'm sure that if I went far enough back, I would learn many experiences that would help me to in the present. Anyway, that's what I wanted to discuss for this video. Is the creativity that is so important, and that's what we're going through. That's my initial take on the creativity that's going on as we create a new world for ourselves. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye bye.